Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 for the Newsfirst, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan.
And I'm Thiruni Karunaratna. Here are tonight's top stories.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
For safety items, b2b.lk.
Doctors protest demanding a number of requests and allowances. Patients left stranded. Do not hold patients hostage to obtain demands. Substantial increments are being made despite the economic crisis and Cyclone Ditwa. A response from the Health Minister to protesting doctors. Justice Minister says government stands for the independence of the Attorney General's office but will not safeguard wrongdoers. Where is the no confidence motion? Prime Minister questions the opposition. Former Ministry Secretary Anusha Palpita remanded after being arrested by the Bribery Commission. Johnston further remanded. Indictments filed against Chamara Sampath in the High Courts.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
For sports items, b2b.lk.
On to those stories in detail. The Government Medical Officers Association initiated a 48-hour strike starting this morning over issues regarding 3 allowances and transportation.
එයා බේත් ගන්න ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ පළවෙනි සැරේ හොස්පිටල් එක ඇතුලේ වැටුණා ඊට පස්සේ ඉතින් මෙතෙන්ට එක්කාවෙන් පස්සේ මෙතනත් එයා වැටුණා බැරි තැන තමයි අපි වාහනේ දාලා ප්‍රයිවට් හොස්පිටල් එකට අරන් ගියේ බේත් කරන්න.
While people were suffering at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital, a similar situation was seen across the country today.
මේ රටට සේවයක් කරනවා කියලා ඇවිල්ලා අද මොකද්ද කරන්නේ මේ දේශපාලන උමනාවන් වලට යටත් වෙලා ප්‍රෝඩාවක්නේ කරන්නේ අද මේකට විශේෂඥ වෛද්‍යවරුත් විරුද්ධයි. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා මේක අසාධාරණයි කියලා. මහජනයා බිල්ලට තියලා මොකද්ද මේ කරන වැඩේ කියන්නකෝ වෛද්‍යවරු විදිහට උගත් බුද්ධිමත් අය නේද මේ වෛද්‍යවරු කියන්නේ. මේ අහිංසක ලෙඩුන්ව මගේ මරණය මතින් දිනා ගන්න අයිතිවාසිකම් මොකද්ද කියන්නකෝ අපිට වෛද්‍යවරු.
රාජ්‍ය සේවය හොඳට පරිවැඩි කරලා තියෙන්නේ. අද රට හොඳට යනවා. ඒ රට විනාශ කරන්න තමයි මේ මිනිස්සු හදන්නේ. මේ හොරු උන්ගේ කුමන්ත්‍රණ මේවා.
ඕන කර්මයක්ද නැහැ බෙහෙත් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපිට බෙහෙත් ගන්න නැතුව මැරලා යනවනේ මේ පප් එකක් හැදිලා නෙන්නේ බෙහෙත් ගන්න.
ඇඟිල්ල කපලා දැම්මොත් එහෙම කවුරුවක් කියන්නේ කරන්න කෙනෙක් නැහැ. පාන්දර 4 ඉඳලා අපි මේ රක්ෂා දෙන්නේ.
මොනවද උනා මදිනේ අප්පා. මොනවද ඉල්ලන්නේ? ඇත්තවද කියන්නේ ජනතාවය පලි ගැනීමක් තමයි කරන්නේ.
පහුගිය ආණ්ඩුවල යටතේ වැඩ කරපු අය තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ වැඩ කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ දේශපාලනයට කඩේ යන වැඩක් තමයි කරන්නේ.
චර මේ ආර්ථිකයේ අපහසුතාව ඉඳගෙන කාලය වැය කරගෙන අපි බෙහෙත් ටික ගන්න ආවට පස්සේදී ඇයි අපිට මෙහෙම වෙන්නේ? මේ අසාධාරණ කවුරුත් බලන්නේ නැද්ද? හොයන්නේ නැද්ද මේවා?
What are the striking doctors demanding? Creation of a dedicated service category named the Sri Lanka Medical Service, updating the distribution, availability and transport allowance, resolving transportation issues in accordance with Circular 22/99, converting the extra duty allowance into a fixed allowance, resolving issues regarding research allowances. The Government Medical Officers Association states that although the Minister of Health provided a written agreement to resolve these issues, it has not been implemented.
We gave more time to reach an agreement on this, but there is no solution. There is no readiness to enter discussions. They act as if they don't know or haven't seen the issue. Therefore, we are forced to speak in a language they understand. During these 48 hours and beyond, we have given them plenty of opportunities to solve this. We are conveying this message to the President and the Health Health Minister. At any given time, we are ready for discussions, agree to implement the agreements, be ready to move forward with a productive, fair solution. At any such moment, we are ready to reconsider the decisions regarding this strike and trade union action. If these problems aren't solved, we are prepared to make decisions on further trade union action that will be taken beyond Monday. The time frame, schedule, date, which hospital and which province will all be discussed.
The strike is not being carried out in children's hospitals, maternity hospitals, cancer treatment units, renal treatment units, military hospitals and the National Institute of Mental Health. What is the stance of specialist doctors? The Association of Medical Specialists says that they do not support this strike.
Not a single member of ours is participating in this strike. When the government comes forward to give a solution to a long-standing problem of specialist doctors, the GMOA is launching this strike against service staff issues. Therefore, we as the Association of Medical Specialists, we oppose this. We will not participate. We are carrying out the usual specialist services today as well.
What is the response of the Minister of Health to the doctors' strike?
The revision of salaries has not been based on the basic salary received in May 2025. Instead, salaries have been structured based on the basic salary applicable as of January 2024, from which point onward the adjustments were made. For grade-level medical officers in Sri Lanka, the basic salary of 52,935 rupees has now been increased to 82,547 rupees. When all applicable allowances are combined, a doctor who previously received a salary of 237,520 rupees now sees their take-home salary increase to 272,572 rupees. A grade 2 medical officer who was previously earning 255,525 rupees will now receive a take-home salary of 300,913 rupees. For the first time in history, a grade 1 medical officer is receiving a 6-figure basic salary beginning this January. The basic salary now stands at 111,193 rupees. A grade 1 medical officer who previously received 306,025 rupees will now receive a take-home salary of 360,703 rupees. Basic salaries have been increased, allowances have been revised accordingly, and in addition to that, the payee tax threshold has been raised from 100,000 to 150,000. As a result, these grade-level doctors are receiving additional financial relief through tax concessions as well. For national rebuilding efforts, we have allocated an additional 500 billion rupees. However, despite this substantial commitment, we have not reduced a single basic salary, allowance or additional benefit. Even as just 6 weeks have passed since Cyclone Ditwa, from January onwards, salary increases have been granted not only to doctors but to all eligible public servants. I wish to make a special appeal to the Government Medical Officers Association. Please do not engage in unjustified strike actions by holding patients hostage. We strongly condemn attempts to inconvenience the public by prolonging strike action and placing civilian lives at risk. I appeal to all doctors, grade medical officers, specialist doctors and administrative medical officers. We are prepared to provide everything that can be offered within the framework of economic growth. Therefore, I urge you once again, please stop strike actions that endanger patients' lives.
Minister of Justice, Attorney-at-Law Harshan Nanayakkara emphasised in Parliament that the government stands firmly by the independence of the Attorney-General and the Attorney-General's Department. However, he stressed that no individual, regardless of position, would be shielded if wrongdoing is proven and that appropriate action would be taken without hesitation.
වර්තමාන රජයේ යටතේ නීතිවිද ධූරයේ ස්වාධීනත්වය තහවුරු කිරීම සඳහා වත්මන් ව්‍යවස්ථාමය ප්‍රතිපාදන හා නෛතික විධිවිධාන යටතේ
Under the present government, we are acting in a progressive and responsible manner within the existing constitutional provisions and legal frameworks to ensure and safeguard the independence of the post of Attorney General. Under Section 3 of the Removal of Officers Act No. 5 of 2002, the grounds on which a person holding the office of Attorney General may be removed are clearly stipulated. Furthermore, in terms of Section 4.1 of the Act, it is the President who is empowered to determine the validity of any allegation or information submitted on such grounds. individuals holding public office are frequently subjected to criticism by external parties, often based on varying perceptions and interpretations, particularly when it comes to the independence of their official functions. We have witnessed this in the past, even within this parliament, where appointments and removals relating to the Judicial Service Commission, despite being an independent institution, were debated and criticized. The same trend is seen on social media platforms as well. In that context, the government has observed that in recent days, various opinions have been expressed in the media targeting the official functions carried out by the Attorney General. However, we do not possess confirmation regarding the truth or falsity of these claims. We also recognize that people enjoy the freedom of expression. That said, at any point where the government observes that such opinions pose a threat to the independence of the office of the Attorney General, we will take maximum action permitted under the law of this country to protect that independence. We have seen situations in other governments where stones were thrown at the homes of judges, posters were displayed against judicial officers, and we also recall the manner in which former Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranayake was treated during the impeachment process. This government will not act in that manner. We will act strictly and only in accordance with the law.
You yourself were attacked, accused of protecting a so-called drinking partner. However, I suggest that you look into which websites were responsible for those attacks. Those attacking him are websites linked to the very side he represents. Within a democratic system, the independence, freedom and the impartial decision-making of the Attorney General are of the utmost importance. I appreciate the Minister of Justice for standing up in defense of that independence.
I
am not standing alone in defense of the independence of the Attorney General's department. Our entire 159-member government and the President stand together on this matter. That is how the system functions. There are many unverified narratives circulating on social media, and we are not obligated to respond to every such claim. Even the opposition leader is subject to similar stories. These are best not taken too seriously. I have strong confidence in my team, my government, and my President. My appointment as minister was made by the President, not by social media. If I fail in my duties, the President will inform me of that. Nevertheless, I thank the Honourable Opposition Leader for the concern expressed. Under our administration, it is not only the Attorney General whose independence we protect. We are committed to safeguarding the independence of all institutions, upholding the rule of law and preserving the supremacy of law. And let me be very clear, regardless of position or location, if any person commits wrongdoing, we will not hesitate to take action. However, in doing so, we will not act recklessly or irrationally. We will proceed responsibly and within the framework of the law.
එකම දේ අපි වැඩ කරනකොට අර වළංකඩේට පැනපු ගොනා වගේ ඇනගෙන යන සිරිතකුත් නැහැ. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that he is unable to comment on matters concerning the Attorney General. The former president made these remarks in response to media queries when he arrived in Kandy today and paid courtesy calls on the Mahanayaka Theras of the Malvatu and Askiri chapters of the Siam sect. Early in the day, Ranil Wickremesinghe first met the most venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera, the Mahanayaka of the Malvatu chapter. Subsequently, the former president met the most venerable Dimbul Kumbure Sri Vimaladhamma Thera, the Anunayaka Thera of the Malvatu chapter of the Siam sect. At the Askiri Mahavihara in Kandy, Ranil Wickremesinghe also paid homage to the most venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanaratna Thera, the Mahanayaka of the Askiri chapter of the Siam sect.
An agreement has been reached between the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition regarding the appointment of 3 civil society representatives. This is to fill existing vacancies on the Constitutional Council.
Under the Constitution, 3 civil society members must be appointed to the Constitutional Council based on a joint agreement between the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. Accordingly, consensus has been reached to appoint Professor Vasantha Seneviratne of the Colombo Law Faculty, former Secretary to the President Austin Fernando, and former Ministry Secretary Ranjit Aryaratne as the 3 civil society representatives. The terms of office of the previous civil society members of the Constitutional Council, Dr. Anula Vijayasundara, Dr. Pratap Ramanuja and Professor Dinesha Samararatne expired on the 16th of this month. The Speaker of Parliament serves as the chairperson of the Constitutional Council by virtue of office, while the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition are also ex officio members. In addition, Minister Bimal Ratnayaka and members of Parliament Ajit P. Pereira, Abu Bakar Atambawa and Sivayanam Sridharan are the other members of the current Constitutional Council. The Prime Minister informed Parliament this afternoon of the names of the 3 civil society representatives appointed to the Constitutional Council.
Meanwhile, ITAC Member of Parliament Sivayanam Sridharan revealed that he did not sign the no-confidence motion being pursued by the opposition, including the Samagichana Balabege, against Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, stating that his party leadership did not agree to the move. The parliamentarian made this disclosure while responding to allegations levelled against him in Parliament yesterday by SJB parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara.
Now regarding Sridharan, he currently serves on the Constitutional Council. He has raised his hand 8 times. How was he appointed? He was appointed as a representative of small opposition parties in Parliament. What does he do at the Constitutional Council? He raises his hand in favour of the government 8 times. On 8 occasions, for what I describe as wrong appointments. Cases have now been filed against him at the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. These cases clearly show that 40 million rupees linked to a 1,200-acre solar power project at Unakarivever has been credited to the bank account of Sridharan, and a further 30 million rupees has been credited to Sridharan Sarangan. Allegations have been raised against him regarding the usage of these funds. Even with regard to these allegations, his own party, the Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi, has reportedly told him to step down. As a representative of small opposition parties, he is not there to raise his hand in favour of the government. In truth, he should resign. Based on demands from the opposition parliamentary groups, he has instead gone on to support the government. Therefore, I urge action, especially since this is not the only matter. There are several other allegations against him as well.
Yesterday in Parliament, Dayasiri Jayasekara mentioned my name and made several false and defamatory statements against me. As an elected representative, I have never acted under anyone's influence. I take my decisions independently, guided by justice and fairness. I have had no need whatsoever to be loyal to the government or to anyone else. For a senior political figure like Dayasiri Jayasekara to make such allegations in Parliament is highly irresponsible. If he is making claims about money, then he must clearly disclose which bank, how much money, who deposited it, and on what date. My signature was requested for the no-confidence motion brought against Harini Amarasuriya, but my party and our party leader did not agree to it. Therefore, we did not sign it. If attempts are being made to launch smear campaigns against me based on this, that is completely unacceptable. If certain individuals believe they can remove me from politics by doing this, believing this method will work is nothing more than a daydream.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister, who attended the World Economic Forum, returned to the island early this morning. Later in the afternoon, she came to Parliament and addressed questions regarding the opposition's proposed no-confidence motion.
හයවෙනි ශ්‍රේණියේ එක මොඩියුල් එකක ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වුණා ඒ වැරද්ද අපි බාරගත්තා.
There was an issue in one module of the grade 6 syllabus. We accepted that mistake. Having accepted it, we acted immediately to correct it. That is what a responsible government must do. Correcting such a mistake is our responsibility, and that is how we operate. But what did the opposition attempt to do here? They seized on this issue without any understanding of the content, without any sensitivity, and acted in an extremely hostile manner, always trying to exploit every opportunity to topple this government. At one point, I even saw claims that another president would come, whether in April or December. So this is the same thing being repeated again and again. They keep talking about bringing a no-confidence motion. So where is it? When are they going to present it? That's the question. When are they bringing it? I'm waiting for it. They failed to remove the president. At the very least, they tried to remove the prime minister, but that effort has failed too. I came back at dawn today and rushed straight here, prepared to face this no-confidence motion. So where is it? Are they presenting it or not? What a shame. We were ready. Let me also say this. They don't need to bring a no-confidence motion. When the people of this country decide that the Prime Minister must change, we are ready to go home. We're accountable to the people of this country and to our conscience. And in line with that responsibility, we will continue to work.
Sri Lanka's rebuilding and relief efforts have received overwhelming international and domestic support, with total donations exceeding 8.5 billion rupees. Finance Secretary Dr. Harshana Surya elaborated on this matter.
The total amount that has been collected to date is to the tune of 8.5 billion. The value has exceeded 8.5 billion rupees for the reconstruction effort and for the relief exercise the government is carrying on. This includes the foreign currency equivalent of 9.49 million US dollars that we have received as well. So we are really appreciative and thankful for these generous donations that have been extended to Sri Lanka by various parties to recognize the devastation and to support the cause of rebuilding. And if we look at the details of the composition, the breakdown of countries where we have received these donations, we have received this financial assistance from 47 different countries where individuals, organizations have donated money. The top of the list is from USA. The total amount received equivalent in LKR value has exceeded 1 billion, the money that we have received from the North American side of it. Whereas the list goes on, the 10 largest donors from the citizens, well-wishers, businesses from respective countries. USA on the top of the list, followed by Australia, China, UK, Germany, Canada, United Arab Emirates, Bhutan, Italy, and Korea at the 10th place. And the list of countries, as I mentioned earlier, it's 47 countries, including Nepal, Qatar, Norway, Denmark, Turkey, Kenya, Botswana, Greece, Belgium, Netherlands. I just gave you a few examples to show that the support has been pouring from all over the world to support and encourage the rebuilding exercise. As of now, we can see the Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka is monitoring the claims that have been received and getting processed to provide the benefit as early as possible. The total number of claims received exceeded 24,000 claims, of which so far 4.7 billion rupees worth of claims have been paid, and certain claims have been rejected on valid grounds by the insurance regulatory, based on the reports by the Insurance Regulatory Commission, and claims to the tune of 45 billion is being processed as we speak. This is to show so much of money is being released back to the economy, affected people, and for businesses to restart their livelihood, businesses, and the processes.
News First with the people.
Former Ministry Secretary Anusha Palpiter, who was arrested by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, was remanded until the 6th of February by Colombo Chief Magistrate Asanga S. Bodragama. The suspect was arrested this morning and produced before the court for failing to satisfactorily explain the accumulation of assets amounting to approximately 46 million rupees.
Presenting the former Ministry Secretary before court, an investigating officer of the Bribery Commission informed the magistrate that investigations were initiated based on a complaint received in March 2015. The officer stated that investigations were carried out over several years, during which statements, affidavits and documentary evidence were obtained from the suspect at various stages up to 2026. According to findings presented to court, investigations revealed that between the 31st of March 2012 and the 31st of March 2014, the suspect had accumulated assets worth nearly 46 million rupees, far exceeding his lawful income during the relevant period. The Bribery Commission officer further told court that when statements were recorded, the suspect claimed that 11 million rupees had been given to him by his wife's sister and brother. During the investigation, a statement was recorded from the suspect's sister-in-law, who stated that 3 million rupees of the 11 million rupees had been provided to the suspect after she sold a plot of land. Although the suspect claimed that the remaining 8 million rupees had been given by a brother, investigators informed the court that the suspect had failed to clearly explain how that amount was obtained. The investigating officer requested the court to remand the suspect, stating that further investigations require recording statements from the suspect's wife and members of her family. Appearing for the suspect, Attorney-at-Law Kanchana Ratwate submitted to court that his client had fully cooperated with the investigation. The defence further stated that no evidence had emerged to indicate that the suspect attempted to influence witnesses and requested court to release the suspect on bail. After considering submissions from both parties, Colombo Chief Magistrate Asanga S. Bodragama rejected the bail application and ordered that Anusha Palpiter be remanded until the 6th of February.
The Wattala Additional Magistrate Fatima Jifria ordered that former Minister Johnston Fernando, his sons Johan Fernando and Jerome Kenneth Fernando, along with 2 other suspects, be further remanded until the 30th of January in connection with allegations of misuse of state property. When the case was taken up today, the former minister, his sons Johan Fernando and Jerome Kenneth Fernando, former Satosa Acting Managing Director Mohammed Shakir and suspect Indika Ratnamalala were produced via WhatsApp. The additional magistrate informed the prison officials that as the permanent magistrate was on leave, a future date would be fixed for the bail order and directed that the suspects be produced via WhatsApp. Accordingly, the magistrate fixed January 30th for the bail order and ordered that the suspects be further remanded until that date.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today informed the Colombo Magistrates Court that indictments have been filed before the Colombo High Court against former Minister Chamara Sampath Dasanayake in connection with the corruption allegation. The case was taken up before Colombo Chief Magistrate Asanga S. Bodragama. After considering the submissions, the Chief Magistrate ordered the conclusion of the case proceedings before the Magistrates Court and directed suspect Chamara Sampath Dasanayake to appear before the Colombo High Court upon receiving summons.
The LOLC You, Me, Our Nation social welfare program continued for the 20th consecutive day today, focusing on schools in the Ratnapura, Matale and Badulla districts.
Construction work at the Ratnapura Kuruvita National School and the Matale Madakanda Junior School were completed and the new facilities were handed over to students earlier this morning. Meanwhile, another construction project at the Badulla Kalaivani Tamil College was also completed and the facilities handed over to students this morning. Construction projects at the Ratnapura Kumara Mahavidyalaya and the Badulla Sirisumana Mahavidyalaya were also completed and the newly renovated facilities were handed over to students this afternoon. The first phase of the LOLC Divisavia You, Me, Our Nation social welfare program was carried out over a period of 10 days, during which essential dry rations and basic supplies were distributed to families who lost their homes due to Cyclone Ditwa. The second phase commenced with a plan to renovate and rehabilitate 200 schools that sustained damage. LOLC Divisavia has made arrangements to continue this phase in the coming days, focusing on 6 districts across 3 provinces.
Gammadda Care and Dare. This is a special humanitarian program organized to uplift communities that were affected by various disasters caused by Cyclone Ditwa. Now, Gammadda Care and Dare will be conducted continuously over 3 days, starting tomorrow, with the Badulla district serving as the main focal point. The first phase of Care and Dare, the latest initiative launched by Gammadda, was recently carried out successfully in Kothmale, benefiting thousands of people. The program is scheduled to take place tomorrow at the Passara Central College in Badulla, on the 25th at the Madolsima Tamil Mahavidyalaya, and on the 26th at the Durumpola Purana Raj Mahavihara in Palimada. Under the Care and Dare initiative, disaster-affected communities will receive medical services, counselling services and legal assistance, along with the distribution of relief aid. In addition, special counselling and guidance services will also be provided for individuals who have lost their sources of income and self-employment opportunities as a result of the disaster. The National Apprentice and Industrial Training Authority has partnered with Gammadda to support this initiative. The Passara Divisional Secretariat is also expected to join the Care and Dare program tomorrow to facilitate the reissuance of important documents, including birth certificates lost due to displacement caused by the disaster. The Passara Medical Officer of Health, or MOH office, has planned special services for pregnant mothers and young children. The distribution of dry rations, household equipment and hygiene kits for those affected by the disaster is also included in tomorrow's program.
Sri Lanka has been experiencing unusually cold weather over the past few days. Nuwara recorded the country's lowest temperature, reaching a 5 degrees Celsius. But what is causing this sudden drop in temperatures? Newsfirst Budbi Namra Divakara reports.
Sri Lanka has been experiencing cold weather conditions during the past few days, with temperatures dropping significantly, especially during the night. So if I can show you the map, this is which was reported from the Met Department. Newsfirst district reported the lowest temperature with 5.0 degrees Celsius, and also Colombo reported 22.6 degrees Celsius, and even Jaffna was 19.3 degrees Celsius. And this is the very latest update from the Met Department. And few days ago, Newsfirst district recorded 3.5 degrees Celsius, which is one of the lowest temperatures Newsfirst has experienced during the past few years. And during the past few days, people are confused about why Sri Lanka is experiencing low temperatures like this. And even in the morning hours in the Newsfirst district, people were experiencing frost in Newsfirst, which is something rare that we see in Sri Lanka. So people were confused, people were giving explanations. Some said it is because of the air pollution which is coming from India. Some said it is because of the cold waters in the Bay of Bengal region. Some say it was because of the wind. Some said it is because of different conditions happening in this climate period. So what is the reason behind this? To explain the reasons behind the unusual cold weather conditions, Professor Charita Pattiarachi from the University of Western Australia spoke exclusively to Newsfirst.
In a normal year, seasonally, if you go through the years, this is the coldest time of the year, right? Because the sun is right in the southern hemisphere, so less heat. And then we also have the northeast monsoon, which usually brings in colder air. The sun is close to the Tropic of Capricorn, so the sun's rays are coming at an angle. Per square meter, we have less heat coming in. On top of that, we have cooler air coming from the Bay of Bengal across for the northeast monsoon. Right? So it's a combination of that. It's seasonally cold, but maybe this year is a little bit colder than previous years. It's not unusual.
So what should you do during this cold weather period? So according to the World Health Organization, you are advised to stay warm, avoid prolonged exposure to the cold, and ensure that vulnerable groups such as children, the elderly, and those with existing health conditions take extra precautions during this cold weather period. So this is the very latest situation. This is the very latest update regarding the cold weather situation in Sri Lanka. Reporting to you from the Newsfirst Weather Center, I am Budbin Amar Divakara for Newsfirst.
The veneration of the sacred relics which are due to be brought to Sri Lanka with the intervention of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and with the full patronage of the Government of India will be held at the Hunapitiya Gangarame Temple in Colombo for 7 days from the 4th to the 11th of February. The Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka commented on this religious event.
The relic exposition is expected to be done in Colombo from 4th of February to 11th of February at the Gangaramaya Temple in Colombo. You would recall that this initiative was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister of India when he came to Sri Lanka in April 2025. These relics come from a place called Devni Mori in Gujarat, which is very close to the birthplace of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. It is the first time that this relic exposition is happening anywhere outside India. The relics are supposed to be from the place called Devni Mori, where excavations were held in the 1960s, and it revealed a Sharira Stupa along with many other artifacts related to Buddhism belonging to 2nd and 3rd century AD. We also have the principal artifact that has come out of this Sharira Stupa is the casket, which has a inscription in Brahmi script and in Sanskrit language, which says Desh Bala Sharira Nilaya, which means the abode of the body relic of Lord Buddha. So I must say that we are very, very happy and blessed to have this opportunity, and I'm sure that the relics will be welcomed with due respect and with a kind of enthusiasm that we have always seen whenever these kind of holy relics of Lord Buddha are brought from India to Sri Lanka. So this is for the people of Sri Lanka.
Operations for Phase 3 of the Eastern Container Terminal at Colombo Port began today.
Operations for Phase 3 of the Colombo East Container Terminal at Colombo Port commenced today, marking a milestone in the government's Colombo Port Development Programme. With the completion of construction works in this phase of the Eastern Terminal, 1,090 metres of the terminal's total length of 1,300 metres have now been fully completed. The ongoing construction work has now reached 82% completion. With the opening of this third phase, the terminal now has the capacity to handle 3 container ships simultaneously. To mark the inauguration of this phase, a container ship belonging to the CMA-CGM group was berthed at the terminal. In 2025, the Colombo East Container Terminal handled over 500,000 container operations. With the opening of this new terminal section, container operations are expected to exceed 1.5 million in 2026. This development further elevates Colombo Port's status as a leading transshipment hub in the South Asian region.
This year, we have already completed, the last year in 2025, we have already completed over 500,000 TEUs, reflecting the operational capability or gaining momentum of the East Container Terminal while providing the services to the global shipping line. We would like to thank the construction teams, including the company undertaking the construction and our construction teams for continued efforts in achieving the targets that we have set for each time. I'm also grateful to the political leadership and the guidance provided by the Honorable Minister, the Deputy Minister and the Secretary of the Ministry in achieving our targets.
For garden tools, b2b.lk.
The 30th International Forestry and Environment Symposium began today in Colombo.
The 30th International Forestry and Environment Symposium, South Asia's leading international conference on forestry and environmental science, organized by the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, commenced today in Colombo. The two-day event, held under the theme Sustainability in Action, marks 30 years of advancing research and dialogue in forestry and environmental studies across the region. This year's symposium received over 200 research abstracts from local and international researchers and features research presentations, expert panels, and multidisciplinary sessions addressing key challenges and innovations in forestry and environmental sustainability.
Recollect Acts of Remembering, an exhibition that reflects on remembering as both a personal and political act, was held in Colombo yesterday.
Recollect Acts of Remembering, an exhibition that reflects on remembering as both a personal and political act, was held in Colombo yesterday. The works show how memory survives over time, how the past can be questioned, and how art brings forgotten stories back into the light. The works showed how memory was shaped, broken and rebuilt, and how stories often forgotten resurfaced through art. The artists approached the past with a critical eye and not nostalgia, highlighting how recollection was fragile, shifting, and deeply necessary.
Finalizing a long-standing goal of President Donald Trump, the United States has officially withdrawn from the World Health Organization, leaving the UN agency without one of its biggest donors.
On Thursday, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a joint statement saying that all U.S. government funding to the WHO had been terminated and that all personnel and contractors assigned or embedded with the organization have been recalled. It also said the U.S. had ceased official participation in WHO-sponsored committees, leadership bodies, governance structures and technical working groups. US President Donald Trump signed an executive order signaling the withdrawal on the 20th of January last year, having criticized the WHO for being too China-centric during the COVID-19 pandemic. The US Department of Health and Human Services said it took the decision due to the WHO's alleged mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic and its delay in declaring it as a global public health emergency and a pandemic during its early stages, costing the world critical weeks as the virus spread. Other reasons for the US's withdrawal from the WHO include the inability for the WHO to make urgently needed reforms and political influence from WHO member states. The WHO has rejected these claims and its Director General said the withdrawal was a loss for the US and the world. Trump tried to leave the WHO during his first term, then gave notice through an executive order on the first day of his second term that the US would leave the organization. By law, the US must give WHO a one-year notice and pay all outstanding fees before its departure. The US still owes WHO roughly $260 million, but legal experts say the US is unlikely to pay up and that the WHO has little recourse.
Ukraine, Russia and the United States are set to hold their first trilateral talks this weekend in Abu Dhabi, with President Vladimir Zelensky saying negotiations will focus on the future of eastern Ukraine's Donbas region in what he called a tentative but a significant step toward ending the war.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that Ukraine will send a delegation to Abu Dhabi for trilateral talks with Russia and the United States, marking the first time that officials from all three countries will meet together since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Speaking to journalists, Zelensky said the status of Ukraine's eastern Donbas region would be central to the discussions, describing the talks as a step that could move the sides closer to ending the war while cautioning that outcomes remain uncertain. The meetings, scheduled for Friday and Saturday in the United Arab Emirates, come as Washington intensifies diplomatic efforts to broker an end to the conflict. Zelensky announced the talks after meeting US President Donald Trump in Davos on Thursday, where the two leaders discussed security guarantees for Ukraine and post-war economic recovery. According to the Ukrainian president, the terms of security guarantees for Ukraine have now been finalized, and an agreement on economic recovery is close to completion. He said the package represents a key element of Kyiv-backed proposals designed to counter an earlier US plan that Ukrainian officials viewed as overly favorable to Russia. President Trump described his meeting with Zelensky as good, but said efforts to end the war remain an ongoing process, underlining the complexity of negotiations as fighting continues on the ground. Russia's state-run news agencies confirmed that the trilateral meeting would follow talks in Moscow between Russian President Vladimir Putin and US envoy Steve Witkoff. The Russian delegation included Kremlin foreign policy aide Yuri Ushakov and special presidential envoy Kirill Dmitriev. On the US side, senior White House advisor Josh Gruenbaum joined the talks with Putin for the first time after previously participating in lower-level Russia-US consultations in Miami, according to Russian media. Putin received the US delegation at the Kremlin Senate Palace, where Ushakov described the discussion as extremely substantive and constructive, adding that they were utterly frank and based on trust. While expectations remain cautious, the Abu Dhabi talks represent a rare moment of direct trilateral engagement, raising hopes that diplomatic momentum could build towards a negotiated end to Europe's most devastating conflict in decades.
The trophy destined for the champions of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026 was brought to Colombo, marking a key stop in its island-wide tour across Sri Lanka.
The coveted trophy was displayed at the historic Sinhalese Sports Club grounds as part of a special trophy tour designed to take the symbol of cricket's shortest format supremacy to multiple locations around the country. Adding star power to the occasion, Sri Lanka's T20 captain Dasun Shanaka and fast bowling sensation Matisha Patirana were present at the SSC grounds. The arrival of the trophy in Colombo allowed local supporters an up-close glimpse of the prize that will ultimately be lifted by the world's best T20 side at the conclusion of the 2026 tournament.
Sri Lanka's Thavi Samaravira struck gold again at the WTT Youth Contender Doha 2026.
World number 1 in the under-11 category, Thavi Samaravira continued his remarkable run on the international table tennis stage by clinching another gold medal at the WTT Youth Contender Doha 2026. Thavi delivered a composed and confident performance in the final, defeating Ryan Al-Mjoumi of Saudi Arabia to secure the top spot on the podium. The victory further cements Thavi's status as one of the brightest young talents in world table tennis. This triumph marks Thavi's second gold medal of the year on the WTT Youth circuit. Earlier in the season, he captured gold at the WTT Youth Contender in Bahrain, showcasing consistency and maturity beyond his age.
From that, we've been to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.